Hello friends and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. I am over on the Rabbit Hole Designs blog with a Valentine's card, or in this case an anti-Valentine's card. Let me show you the products I'm going to be using today. That is the Heart Dance stamp. We also have the Sassy anti-Valentine stamp set with some awesome sassy sentiments. And then we're also going to be using the Cattitude stamp set along with the Diamond Flower Stencil. So we're going to be using all those things. We're going to be doing some creative masking for sentiments, and it's going to be fun. All right, let me show you what I did here. I went ahead and stamped out just the little girl from this image, which you can do with Post-it tape and kind of wipe off what you don't want. But I went ahead and stamped her down because she's all I wanted from that stamp set. And once again, that's the Heart Dance stamp. I stamped that down with some Memento Tuxedo black ink onto some Copic-friendly cardstock, and I'm going to stamp one of the cats from the Cattitude stamp as well, doing the same process. And then we'll set those aside and we'll start working on our background. So I have grabbed some Heffy Doodle tape. It's basically the same sort of thing as Post-it tape, except this is a little thicker. And I'll wise up here in a second. I'm trying to get this lined up, and then I realized if I just taped my piece down, I wouldn't have any issue keeping that, getting a straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and tape that down with some washi tape on the top, which will pose a problem later because I should have just put tape on the back, but we fix it, no big deal. I put the tape down where I want it, and then I cover my piece with that Diamond Flower Stencil, and I am using some Distress Oxide ink in the color, I think it's Honey. I don't think I wrote that down. No, it's Wild Honey. I did write it down. And then I went over it very lightly with my VIVACE Beauty brush to kind of blend out that color and not make it so with the stark white in the background. I'll move the Post-it tape up, or the Heffy Doodle tape up, and then I'm going to grab some Distress Oxide and the color Ground Espresso. I want this to have two separate pieces. So it's going to be like a ground and a wall, almost like wallpapered wall back there. And so I'm just blending that out, and it doesn't need to be perfect. And then I will pull the paper away and you'll see the magic there. So there's my background, and there I peel away the tape and you can tell there's a big tape spot, but that's okay. It's not a big deal because I end up cutting it down later. Now let's move on to my Copic coloring. I'm going to color her skin tone with an E00, and I'm doing very simple Copic coloring because there isn't a lot of space here other than for her hair, her dress, and her face. Once I get that base color down, then I'm going to come in with some E11 just for a little bit of a darker tone. These blend really well together. And then, when you're blending with Copics, it always looks like when you put that dark color down, it's just not going to work out. But then you come in with your lighter color and blend it out, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to move on to her hair, where I'm going to start with an E59 as my base. And it looks kind of splotchy here, partly because I didn't stay right by the color that I had just done. And so when you do that, you have the color will dry. And so that's why it looks so like a line next to each other. So typically when you color, you should color right next, almost go in circles and right next to where you've just gone so that you don't get all those harsh lines. But because I was coming in with a darker shade, which is the E49, I wasn't so concerned about that. And plus it's hair. So, hair is going to have some lines in it. And so it's not a big deal. Then I'll come back in with that E59 once again and kind of blend that out just a little bit. For her dress, I'm going with more of an orange red. So I'll start with R14, and I'm going to put that on her bow, and then I'm also going to use that on her dress. And then I'm going to come in with an E37 for my darker tone. Just being sparing with that. And then I'll come back in with that R14 and blend that out just a little bit. Now we'll move on to the cat, and I know you're shocked. I am going to color it like a Siamese. I had this idea for this card in my head, since I had to do anti-Valentine, and I wanted to use a couple of images because I thought, or I could do Valentine, but I had already done Valentine a few times with that Heart Dance stamp set, which is super cute. But I thought, what, let's see if we can combine and do something kind of clever, maybe do, a couple sets together and see what we can come up with, which is why I grabbed the Cattitude. And so I came in with my E50, E87, and here I'm going to use the darkest shade, which is E89, and I'm using that fairly sparingly. It looks pretty rough around his face when I come in, but then I'm going to blend that out so it won't be so bad. So we'll do the E87, bring that out, And then we're going to once again bring in the E50, and that'll blend that out even more. And this little kitty's a fluffy cat. I don't have one that's that fluffy, but you know. All right, so here's where I decide to fix that mistake. So I'm going to grab just a stitched rectangle die that I have in my stash, and I'm going to tape that down with a couple pieces of washi tape and then run that through my die cutting machine. And then that'll fix that issue. For my sentiments, I'm going to do a couple. This first one, I just grabbed the one that says Happy Singles Awareness Day. I thought that was cute. Not too crazy. And for my base, I'm going to use some sidewalk cardstock from Brutus Monroe, and I just scored that at 4 1/4 inches, so this will be a side folding A2 size card. And here on the inside is where I'm going to do a little creative masking with the sentiment. The first sentiment I grabbed came from the Sassy anti-Valentine stamp set, and that one says, "Who needs a soulmate when there is pizza?" Now, I don't want it to say, "is pizza." So I am basically going to just take a little bit of a Post-it and cover that with that little Post-it tape, the part that I don't want, and then I'll ink up the rest. And the rest I'm going to ink up with some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and then I'll pull away that Post-it, and I'll stamp down what I want. Now the other part that I want doesn't have one letter that I want. And the other part is a sentiment from the Cattitude, and that sentiment that I grabbed says "no kitten," and it has ... Well, I don't want the no, and I don't want the ... I do want the letter A to be in there, so what it's supposed to say is, "Who needs a soulmate when there is a kitten?" So I'm going to line up my stamp so that I have room to write the letter A. I figured that would be easy enough. I could do that. It wouldn't be too big of a deal. I'll close the door of my Misti, grab some Post-its once again, just to cover those areas that I don't want stamped. And then I will ink those up with that VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And then I'll pull away my Post-its and I'll stamp down what I need. So before I get the A typed in there or written in there, it's going to say, "Who needs a soulmate when there is kitten?" All right, so I was looking at the A's that are already in these sentiments, so I just grabbed out my Memento marker and just made an A. And so it's really, I mean, obviously it's not perfect, but that's okay. I kind of like the way it looks. So now it says, "Who needs a soulmate when there is a kitten?" All right, then I decided to take the cat that's showing off his rear end because I thought that was perfect. And I stamped him up on top using the Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink. And then I'm going to grab out the 2 little paws that are in the stamp set, and then I'll stamp those going up the side, just using that VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. Just for a little bit of extra. And then my inside is all stamped and done. I'll trim down my sentiment using my Fisker's wire trimmer. I like the wire because you can see exactly where you're cutting. And then I am going to put some foam tape, this is the Arteza foam tape, behind both the little girl and my kitten. And then I'll peel off the backing paper off of all those. And it'll look like the cat is there and she's trying to get the cat to jump into her arms or something. And I thought that was perfect for Happy Singles Awareness Day. How fun is that, right? And then peel off the backing paper on my cat and put him down as well. He almost looks like he's trying to jump into her hands. Then I'm just going to use some Nuvo Deluxe liquid adhesive, put that all over the back of my panel, and adhere that down to my card base. And that'll leave a little border all around. I'll put some foam tape behind my sentiment as well, peel that off, and then just stick that down to the front. Then I decide I want to add a final bit of embellishment, so I just grab out some of these sequins that I have in my stash. I have no idea what these ones are called, but I just pulled some red ones out, and I'll put a few down using my crystal katana along with that Nuvo Deluxe liquid glue. Thought about putting another, and then I thought this looks good where it's at. So that is going to finish off this card. Like I said, I am over on the Rabbit Hole Designs blog, so I will have that linked down below so you can take a look. And if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank y'all so much for all the love and support that you guys give, all your thumbs upping, your liking, all of it. You guys are fantastic, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye, guys.